One Nation FM.
Okay, let's wrap up with the conversation we had about the historical mosques in South Africa, historically significant mosques. And we've asked people to effectively come up with their own suggestions, and the people have done that. So the Iqbalia Masjid is situated in Unit 2 in Chatsworth, and we're going to talk about that mosque now. Moulana Mubarak Khan is the Imam at that mosque, and he's been the Imam there for 22 years, I understand. So Moulana Mubarak Khan, appreciate your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother Ashraf?
I'm very good indeed. Good to connect with you. And of course, we're going to use you to tell us the history of your masjid. So, yeah, tell us how it all started and when.
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First and foremost, Jazakallah to Salam Media team. Especially, I'm speaking from a masjid, Iqbalia Masjid, where Shamsir Khan was a musalli of the masjid, mashallah. Just quickly, Iqbalia Masjid, alhamdulillah, was built in 1968. When the residents of Chatsworth settled in the Baby and Chatsworth area, there was a need, obviously, to set up masjids and madrasas. The Chatsworth Islamic Society was formed in 1965, Brother Ashraf, with the intention and this great desire now to ensure that Deen thrives in our area. And alhamdulillah, with a little bit of effort and sacrifice of the elders of the past, they set up at the local house, at a nearby house, the madrasa and the masjid at a house initially. And in 1968, the Iqbalia Masjid was built, alhamdulillah. Initially, the site that Iqbalia Masjid is built on was allocated for the purposes of a church. But alhamdulillah, through the foresight and the focus and the worry and the concern of our pious predecessors, knowing well and seeing that the area that we are living in is predominantly Muslims, they objected to this and approached the local councils to ensure that a masjid is built on the site here. Alhamdulillah, today Iqbalia Masjid is existent, and the same organization, Chatsworth Islamic Society, and then went on to become the Bayview Muslim Cultural Group in 1974. And alhamdulillah, from there on, Chatsworth Islamic Society and the Bayview Muslim Cultural Group, mashallah, continued to service the madrasa and the area of the madrasa, Brother Ashraf. And alhamdulillah, and alhamdulillah, presently we have the madrasa that is taking place in our area, which is one of the biggest madrasas of the Chatsworth area, and it has about 220 students that are attending the maktab here in our area. The area itself, Iqbalia Masjid is not the first masjid of Chatsworth. It is the second masjid of Chatsworth. The Rahmaniya Masjid, which is close by, was the first masjid of the Chatsworth area. From what I heard from my elders here, mashallah, at that time there, the Gillian construction, they had built a masjid, and the cost of that time was 13,000 rand. Today, alhamdulillah, we have a thriving community, mashallah, very, very pluralistic and dynamic community. There is a makeup of brothers from all different parts of the African continent, mashallah, and a very, very vibrant community as well that is attending the Iqbalia Masjid, mashallah.
Okay, why do you know why the masjid? Why is the masjid called Iqbalia? Do you know the story?
From what I've heard, Brother Ashraf, is alhamdulillah, when they initially decided on the name, and because it was from the second masjid to be built, or from the very early masjids to be built in the Chatsworth area, they opted for a name that would show some kind of progress, and this will become a form of encouragement to others. So Iqbali actually means to advance and to progress and to move forward, you know, and that was the name chosen for the Iqbalia Masjid itself.
Okay, fine. Tell me, can you tell me anything about the architecture and the structure of this current masjid?
The masjid itself is a makeup of the main masjid area, a redesign whose wudu khana, alhamdulillah, and we've got 7 classrooms. We have a ghusl khana as well, and there are also flats that accommodate tenants as well. The area itself, mashallah, behind us are open grounds that we have for students to play the games, etc., which is a very great part of our masjid and madrasa, where we encourage the youth of the area, mashallah, to come to the masjid, and at the same time, some form of sporting activities take place. Because there's a challenge that we initially experienced, Brother Ashraf. With our masjid, mashallah, we tried to see what will attract the youth to our masjid. There was a challenge we're facing, because the area is quite surrounded with lots of drug merchants as well. And many of the youth of the area were being attracted to the activities that they were providing with the sporting activities, etc. So alhamdulillah, the Maktab youth movement was formed at the masjid. And through this, alhamdulillah, our students are linked to masjid, they're linked to madrasa. Every fortnight we have sporting activities and kids activities. We have from grade R to grade 7. So besides the students that are attending the madrasas and attending the programs of the masjid, this has become an invitation, because around the masjid we have a sprawling informal settlement. We have 3 informal settlements surrounding the masjid.
Let me tell you, talking about that, I mean, in South Africa, the dominant ethnic groups that practice the Islamic faith are people of either Indian or Cape Malay origin. That's the dominant groups in the country. That's changed in the last few years with the influx of Somalians and Bangladeshis and Pakistanis as well. We know that. But interestingly enough, I understand that the Zanzibari community are settled in Chatsworth, and therefore very much a part of the goings on in that mosque, right?
Absolutely. Iqbalia Masjid is very close to the Rahmaniya Masjid, and mashallah, many of the Zanzibari community brothers, mashallah, they are linked to the Iqbalia Masjid, and the students as well. Students as well are from the Zanzibari community, very vibrant community, alhamdulillah, very active, and very supportive of our deen and of our masjids in the area. So yes, the dynamics have changed over the past years, and we can see a whole change in terms of also the brothers from Malawi are in our area. So they make up a bulk and a great percentage of our masjids, and very supportive, Brother Ashraf.
I see. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been very interesting talking to you, and thank you for your time. I've certainly learned something. I haven't been to your masjid, but inshallah, if Allah opens that pathway for me to come there, I will certainly knock on the door of the masjid and come and say hello to you, inshallah. Fascinating story of the significant mosques in South Africa. We're probably looking to cover 20 to the end of Ramadan, so just about another week or so to go. You are at liberty to come up with your own suggestions. Which mosques should we still cover in the week or so we have remaining for Ramadan as far as the historical mosques in our country? That's it for today's show. We'll do it again tomorrow. As per always, feel free to engage. You can connect with Salam Media on all these social media platforms. You can also, look for me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You'll find me at Asraf Garda. I'll certainly be happy to engage with you in any way I can. We're back tomorrow from 8 to 10 a.m. Until then,